Hey everybody, Ramsey with the Rajathon YouTube channel here, and I wanted to give you guys my October wrap-up and November TBR. So as we jump into the books that I read in October, I'll kind of do a quick summary of them. If you really want a more in-depth review of them, I'll link any of those in the description or in the cards up above. So here we go. First book in October was The Lesser Dead by Christopher Buehlman. It was a magnificent vampire story. Gritty 1970s vampires living down in the sewers and subway tunnels, and it was really, really good. Things get crazy, a lot of action, a lot of brutality, exactly what I was hoping for in a vampire story. The next one that I read, same week, I actually have a review of both of them that will be linked, is Salem's Lot by Stephen King, also a vampire story, a little bit different type of vampire story. It was more of the ominous feel you got with kind of Dracula. It spent a lot of time making the world feel evil, and then the true vampire-ish kind of stuff happened. Felt kind of dark in here, so I turned on an extra light, if that makes it any better. Then the next book I read was a self-published book by an author. This book is Note to Self by David W. Ketchings Jr., and I'll link that review as well so that you guys can watch it. It was a story about time travel, kind of taking the Narcissus myth and tying it to time travel and making a very interesting story. I ended up giving it 3 stars, but I liked it. There were some problems that I had with it, and I wrote those down on the Goodreads review and in the video, but I wouldn't say it would be an awful read, but it was definitely not one of my favorite books. And then I got around to reading some Lovecraft for the first time. Did a video for that as well if you want to watch it. I ended up reading The Shadow over Innsmouth and The Call of Cthulhu. Both of them left me kind of wanting a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to keep reading them. I've got that big book of Lovecraft short stories. I put it around here somewhere. And I don't remember where I put it, but I have it somewhere. And it's got a bunch of Lovecraft stories, and I'll try to dig into some more of those. The Dunswich Horror, I was told, was really, really good. There was a couple other ones that I've heard are very good and would definitely like to check those out as well. So we'll see how that goes. Probably my favorite book of the entire month was Wastelands by Stephen King, and it was fantastic. Book 3 in The Dark Tower. I'm loving the journey of that. I really, really, really enjoy the story so far. From the weak start, I thought, in book 1 to the magnificent book 2 to a great book 3. Loved it. I'm really, really excited to read Wizard and Glass next month. This is cool, super cool Dark Tower journey, and I'm really, really liking it. Next book I read was Valas by Philip K. Dick. Interesting book. It's kind of a weird autobiographical sci-fi book where he is given information from a intergalactic I'm not sure if I completely understand what Valas is. There's an acronym that I gave my book to Alan because we were buddy reading it and his book was stolen. So I went ahead and mailed him mine, and then we're going to do kind of a joint review on it whenever he gets finished. So I'll have to relook up what the acronym, because Valas is an acronym. It's like Vast Artificial Intelligent something. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll go over that more in the review. Really, really enjoyed Bleach Volume 1 and Volume 2. They are manga. They are also turned into an anime. Basically, a young man is able to see ghosts and has been trying to peacefully help them move on, and then gets confronted by this different sort of spirit creature called a hollow, which is like a malevolent, evil, wants to eat your soul kind of bad person. And then that hollow was being tracked by a reaper. So a reaper is basically someone who hunts down these awful hollows. And through the big fight, the main character is given the power of the reaper, and so she can't go back to doing her job because her body that she inhabited to be a reaper kind of became immortal, and her powers are transferred to him temporarily, I think, while he has her powers. So they're working together to kind of defeat these bad guys. So far through 1 and 2, fantastic. I really love the story. If you haven't had a chance to read Bleach, it's good stuff. I'll have to continue on with that as soon as possible. And like I said in my Harry Potter vs. Percy Jackson video, I read both of those book 2s this month. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets which I really did not enjoy as much on a reread. And then first time I ever read Sea of Monsters, Percy Jackson Book 2. And if you guys are curious on my thoughts on those, go ahead and check out that video. They'll be linked down below. And then we had the big buddy read of Crime and Punishment. Enjoyed this a whole lot. Danny from Spinelli Speaks hosted this read along, and for as old as this is, 1860s, late 1860s, I found this very, very enjoyable. The story translates very, very well. I think if somebody tried to modernize it, it would do really well as a modern story. Talking about a murder of a pawnbroker and her sister, and then all the things that go on with that. The main character is kind of I wouldn't say, he may have some, he probably does have some psychological issues, and it's really his struggle on what he should do concerning the fact that he murdered these people. And then I've been working on it for a little while, but I finished the biography of Ulysses S. Grant. It is marvelous. I think I now have a favorite president, and that president is Ulysses S. Grant. His story is so cool, so interesting. The things he did in his presidency, the things he did as a war general, the things that he had to rise up out of. He was an alcoholic, and he defeated that at the end of his life through the help of his wife and some friends and just personal strength. It was way back before AA, and he was able to defeat his alcoholism, which kind of ruled his life early on, and became a war general and a president and all these wonderful things that he was able to accomplish. Ended up dying of tongue and throat cancer, so he struggled there at the end of his life, and he actually wrote a memoir of his life while dying of cancer. Really, really cool guy. So the author of this book is the same author who wrote the Hamilton biography, which Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote the musical for Hamilton after he read that story. So same quality of work. I read his the Hamilton biography and enjoyed it. I read the Grant biography and enjoyed it. He's also done one on George Washington and Rockefeller and one other like train mogul. So I'd like to read some of those too, to see those biographies, because I'm enjoying him as a biographer. Right after the Codex Cantina did a video, which I'll link below, on the Sleepy Hollow, I was like, ooh, I haven't read that in forever, and then found a free version on YouTube that kind of they've spookied up with some like background noise and stuff, and listened to the Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving, and really, really liked it. I forgot how funny it was. It was very, very good. Listened to that the day before the 30th, and it was only about an hour and a half long. And if you get a chance, it's a fun little listen for a good little audiobook. And the last one I finished, I've been working on it forever. I had it at 50% on my Kindle, and then finally my library got it as an audiobook, and I went ahead and finished it. It's The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I'll have to do a review on it. I had some weird thoughts on it from reading half and going, it's okay, but it didn't catch my attention enough to really keep me going. And then I went and looked at it, and I was like, I don't think I really enjoyed this story, especially the second half. It sort of felt like three stories smashed into one, and then those three stories were okay. And then when you put them all together, they just felt a little disjointed. There were some time jumps. There were some things. I'll do a review on it just to kind of really flesh out my thoughts on the Poppy War. I bought both of those on my Kindle for like $1.99 at one point, book 1 and book 2, and so I'll probably read book 2 because I have the second one on my Kindle already. I've already bought it, so I probably will read it, and I'm hoping it gets better than the first book. Hopefully it's a little more focused. I didn't really enjoy the way the book ended, so we'll see. I'm always, I think well, that's a spoiler, so we'll go into that with a review. All right, and then I currently have a couple books that I'm still reading that are just going to roll right over to the next month. That is Fearless, book 2 in the Lost Fleet series by Jack Campbell. About halfway through that one. I really, really like it. Edge of Valor by, I can't remember the author's name. I'll put up a picture right here. Liking it as well. We are buddy reading both of these, me and Unity151 and some other people, on my Discord. If you'd like to join the Discord, it's down below. A couple good buddy reads there. Also, Dreamer's Pool, I'm reading with Christy from Dostoevsky in Space. I believe Julie the Hungry Bookworm is also reading that with us, and Stacy the Gray Lioness. All three of them, those ladies, have YouTube channels as well that I will try to link as well. Dreamer's Pool has gotten really, really good. I didn't enjoy the first part. I would say, and I think Christy would agree with me, that after the first 10 chapters, it starts to get really good. So, also reading a self-published book by an author, June Chevalier. I think I'm saying that right. Vile Artistry. So it kind of started with a prologue that is a little bit out of context, which I don't mind at all. And then we're kind of getting the backstory of the main character. She's currently working in an inn and meeting a bunch of characters, and I'm liking it so far. I'm liking the writing style. I'm actually going to email the author. My version has numbers somehow spaced out in the title. I don't know if those are page markers or what those are, but they're kind of weirdly like in between places on my Kindle, and partially why I've said, if someone asks me to read their book, I'm going to ask them to send me a physical copy. I had such a good time reading Wildcat by J.P. Harker. I'll put that right there. And he sent me the physical book. It was done. It was finished. It was a wonderful story. Book 2 is even better, and I'm hoping to read book 3 very soon. But because of the way that I had such good experience with the physical book, and then the couple Kindle stories that I've gotten that don't always feel quite finished, I definitely would like a physical book if I'm going to review somebody's book from now on. And then I'm back into Godstock. Grab this from the library again. I'm about halfway through, so I'm going to try to finish this up and get it done in this month's TBR. And still working on The Howling Dark. I have that on my Audible account. And when I just don't have anything kind of as an audiobook, I'm listening to that and enjoying it. But it's not holding my attention like book 1 did. Probably would take it down to a 4-star if it doesn't get any better. I'm about 35% done with it right now. It's quite a long book, and it's kind of dragging on a little bit, but we'll see. I'm still enjoying the character of Hayden Marlowe, and want to finish that one up soon. And then The Shadow of What Was Lost, I just ran out of time with the library, with vacation and a couple of things like that, and so I went ahead, turned it in the library. Somebody needed it. I marked my page that I had, and whenever I can get it back, I'll get it back and I'll read that as well. So my library has a bunch of audiobook holds that are kind of come and due. The first one that came through, 6 people are waiting on it, so I have to get it read like very, very soon so I can get it back, is The Vanishing Half by Britt. I'll put a picture. And I'm liking it so far, about an hour and a half in, and it's about 2 young mixed women who are twins. One chooses to live as a white woman in, I believe, the 1960s, and another chooses to live as a black woman. And then currently where I am, the one that's choosing to live as a black woman is moving back to her hometown to visit her mother, and that's where I am in the story. But I'm liking it so far. And then things I plan to add for November, I'll go ahead and start adding them to the TBR pile here. First off is the graphic novel Mouse. This is a story where a cartoonist had a conversation with his father, I believe, or grandfather, and he was kind of told about his story as a Jew in World War II, living in Poland. And so he went ahead and used cats as the Nazis and mice as the Jews. And so it's a whole story told in a cartoonist style. I've wanted to read this for a while. It's gotten great praise in a lot of different places, and I'm hoping that it's one of those books that really touches me. And I found the second volume too, so hopefully I could read this one and then read the next one in December. Next, we're continuing the Dark Tower series. Wizard and Glass, I'm really excited to read it. I found the illustrated version, and really excited to keep going on this one. So next one, like I said, Godstock. I'm trying to finish it up. I'm about halfway through that one. It is 2 books, actually. Scoot up a little bit. It is 2 books. It's Godstock and Dark of the Moon. So I'll probably just finish the first one this month and then hop into the next one next month. Next, I got this as an ARC from NetGalley and still haven't read it. And then it's been out in my library since May. And so I really need to go ahead and read this. This is Shortfall by Robert Jackson Bennett. I read book 1, which was Foundryside, and enjoyed it. And I'm hoping that book 2 is just as enjoyable as book 1 was. And the 2 books that I wanted to try to read last month but never got around to was Blood Rights, book 6 of the Dresden Files. Really enjoying the Dresden Files series, and I'm excited to keep going with it. This is by Jim Butcher, and I'm loving the audiobooks, and so now that I'm back into reading them physically, it's kind of taken me out of it a little bit, but I will go ahead and read this physically, and then hopefully on a reread my library will pick up the audiobooks, and I'll be able to listen to them that way, because James Marsters is a great audiobook narrator. And then The Shining by Stephen King. I didn't get a chance to read it last month, but I did watch the movie, and I thought the movie was okay. I know a lot of people think it's one of the best horror movies they've ever seen. I don't think that. I think it was interesting. I think the way they did the cinematography was very, very good. But I don't know how much I really, really enjoyed it. But I'm really excited to continue learning more about it. I've heard that the movie and the book are very different things. So really excited to see what we get there. And then my library finally got me the audiobook for The Last Wish. I started reading it. I read the first short story where he fights the Striga, and was enjoying it. One of those books that you just kind of put down and forget to pick back up. So now that I'm finally got the audiobook, hopefully I can go ahead and knock it out and get it done. All right, and these are the two books that I put on hold from my September TBR that I never got around to, and I took a break on. This is The Magpie Coffin by Wiley E. Young. It's a splatter western. Really excited to get into this. I've had a couple people read it and review it, and their reviews just are glowing about it. One of a great western, kind of gory, bloody, lots of fun. I should have read it in October. It would probably be good for October. And then Red Rising. I've heard great things about this series, and I really want to see if the hype is real. So I'm excited to read this finally. I thought I had an audiobook from my library, but it was in German, and I unfortunately don't speak German. So, all right, and then the manga titles I'm hoping to get to these are pretty easy to get to because they're nice and short, is Trigun Maximum, Volume 4. I'm really liking Vash the Stampede story, and I actually picked up the anime. My library had it as well. And I'm hoping that it's pretty good. I watched a little bit of the first episode, but was really tired. I had a night call where I ended up being out at like 3 in the morning, so I just couldn't stay awake for it. And then finishing One Piece, keep working on One Piece. I got 3 and 4 finally from my library. They were on hold for a little bit, and excited to follow Monkey D. Luffy and his pirate crew. And the last 3 I've got here is Fearless, we've talked about for the buddy read. This book is great so far. Even more drama than the first one. Captain Geary is dealing with a whole group of new issues, and really, really liking it. Want to start my Discworld journey. This is the start of the Death series in Discworld, following Death and his story, Mort. From what I can tell from some Google searches, I'm not 100% sure where to start with Discworld. I've never read any Discworld, but I've got a few of Terry Pratchett's Discworld books, and some people say that this is a good place to start. I know his first Discworld novel is not, most people say you don't have to start there. So I don't think I have it, but I have book 2 and 3 of that like little trilogy that's part of that. So I'm excited to get into Discworld and see what Terry Pratchett has in store. I've always heard they're funny, I've always heard they're well written, and I'm really excited to jump into them and read them and enjoy them. And last but certainly not least, finishing, getting through doing the Dune series. This is the last book that I read when I was a teenager, and I ended up, I can't remember how I felt about it. I remember thinking it's just got weird after the first book, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. So now, as an adult, I enjoyed Dune Messiah a whole lot more than I thought I would, and now Children of Dune is my next foray into the series. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping that it is a lot of fun. All right, so thanks for hanging out with me, guys, on this video. That is my wrap-up for October and my TBR for November. Probably won't read all of them like normal, but, you know, it gives me a little bit of room to mood read and pick a book I want to try or pick a book that I'm working on. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books that are currently being read that I would hope to finish this month. And then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books that I'm adding, 3 manga titles, and 1 graphic novel. And I ended up reading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 stories, some short stories, some novels, and 2 manga titles last month. So if I keep about the same pace, I'll read about half of the books that I currently have that I'm currently reading, and then I'll probably add 5 or 6 or 7 books that need to be added to that. So keep an eye on it. If you guys want to join me in any of these, let me know, and I don't mind buddy reading anything. And so I hope that you guys subscribe to the channel, check out some more of these reviews that I've done on these books if any of them interested you. I know I kind of did a really fast try to get through this because there was just a lot of books to be talked about, and I'm excited to keep doing this YouTube journey with you guys. Hopefully you guys have fun reading a book today, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.